Hello and welcome back to the channel. This video will be dedicated to why you should check out Arcane Season 1 before Season 2 airs. So if you have been anywhere on the internet in the past few weeks, you've probably seen at least something for the drop of Arcane Season 2 that is now going to be released in November on Netflix. So if you have no idea what Arcane is, it is an animated series that takes some characters and lore from the video game franchise League of Legends by Riot Gaming and expands on it. So if you're sitting there going, I don't play League, I hear it's toxic, I don't want to be involved in anything related to League, I will break down why you don't need to be a fan of League to actually enjoy the show. So one thing that Riot Games does very, very well is have lore intertwined with their IPs. So League of Legends has been around for many, many years and therefore has tons and tons of lore behind each of their champions, each of the regions that the champions come from. It is loaded full of information. So finally, people have been begging for years and years for that to be used in something rather than just needless notes that you can read about but has no effect on the game. So a few years back, they released the show Arcane. Now Arcane takes two champions, Jinx and Vi, and puts them into this animated world that shows their home, which is divided into two sections. The region has a more prosperous upper side where all of the rich people kind of live and there's like very little struggle. And then you have kind of what is known as the slums, the underground part, which is where the two sisters live, and it is where crime kind of runs rampant, people struggle for necessities and stuff like that. Very open message. Most people can get behind it and understand kind of what's happening. So season 1 did so very well for both fans of the IP and also people who have never even played League. People might not have even heard of League that watched this show, but it did so well that they are now getting a season 2, which thank God, because season 1, if you did watch it, you know it ended on a cliffhanger. So you might be sitting there going, okay, it's an animated TV series for video game lore. What makes it so good? Well, the reason why so many people boast and brag about Arcane and want people to watch it is because at the time, we had basically no really actually good quality video game adaptations to TV or movies. So Arcane did such a wonderful job at having a unique animation style that allowed for very smooth movement of the characters, very vivid animated facial expressions that didn't look cartoonish, but really just oozed the emotion and impact that these characters were going through. And so this show, since it was universally loved by gamers and non-gamers alike, it really opened the door for these actual high quality adaptations that we are seeing now. At the time, we just had Arcane, then by now we have the amazing adaptation of The Last of Us. Fallout recently came out. There is now going to be a dragon series that's coming out. So more focus is being put on what can truly be pulled out of the lore of video games and what can be put into a TV series, a movie, live adaptation, something. So Arcane, like I said, you don't need to know a single thing about League of Legends lore. I knew zero. I knew that these two characters were sisters, and that is it going into it. Now, I was watching myself and 3 other people. One person was very much like me, but even less. She knew zero about League of Legends. She just knew it was a MOBA game. And I have 2 people who were watching it with me that were huge League fans and knew a bunch of the lore. All 4 of us enjoyed it a great amount. So there are some little Easter eggs if you are a fan of League of Legends. If you watch it, there will be little things that you will see or hear that will make you go, oh my god, I know what that means. But for people like me and my friend who knew nothing, we still didn't lose anything. It was still very, very enjoyable. Like I said, you need to know nothing. It will break down every single thing for you. This is a beginner-friendly entry into the show. You don't need to know anything about the city, the characters. Some of the main characters that I was very emotionally attached to weren't even League champions, and I had no idea. So why should you watch Arcane? Well, there's really no good reason not to. The story is actually very, very emotionally rich and deep. So like I said, we have these two sides of this one region. One is very prosperous and it makes all of the rules, and one is suffering and they have to resort to these crimes, they have to resort to these illegal things to get necessities to live day to day. And so Arcane basically tells the story of if the two sides combined. We have two main characters, Vi and Caitlyn, who are Vi's from the underground. Caitlyn's actually the daughter of an elite politician leader from the upper ground. And so together they kind of share with each other the experience of their upbringings. Vi tells Caitlyn about the terrible, terrible quality of life from the underground and how they get no support from the upper ground. People are suffering, dying every day, and they're being prosecuted by the upper, who send agents down, and if they don't like what they're doing, they get prosecuted. So just kind of showing a real world glimpse of the underfunded, underdeveloped, underhelped region. And Caitlyn, who might be from the upper ground, but her life is also not super, super great because her mother is always pushing her to do things. She is just trying to do her best and everything. She doesn't struggle for anything. It's less of the physical limitations that she doesn't have, but more of the emotional neglect that her mother has put upon her. And so by far she is doing much, much better than the people in the underground. But it also gives a human look to some of these people because Caitlyn is trying her very best to help people, but we also get a look at the leaders who are just kind of in it for the money and don't really care about the people. Now, the character arcs are really where some of the most amazing magic of the show happens. Now, you do have some people like Caitlyn who think that the world is good and she wants to help people truly, deeply. She is trying to train to be someone that helps others. But we now get to see, as the show progresses, she sees that even her own mother, who she's looked up to, isn't the great woman that she once thought she was in childhood. She gets to see that these leaders aren't truly helping the people, and she gets to see the suffering of the people from the underground. So we get to see her become a more knowledgeable person of the real world that people live in. And then we have people like Jinx, who is the main star of the show. Her character development and arc from this poor little girl Powder into the character Jinx that you might know from the game. That development is human. It is in real time. You get to feel and understand why her mentality changed, why her personality shifted. You get to see the trauma that happened. You get to see the manipulation from adults that happened to her. There is no just weird out of the blue, oh my god, you changed so much. You get to understand why. And one of the greatest things about this show is it both shows and tells you. You get to see firsthand. It visually allows you to watch the meltdown that is Powder to Jinx, that is all these characters suffering and developing through the show. But it also has so much subtext that you can read into, that you can get more from. It is not a surface level show. You can watch it at the surface level and that is completely fine. You will very much enjoy it. But it is also so fun and so satisfying to dig deeper, to look for the subtle metaphors and symbolism that this show weaves into everything. And especially if you do look into just a little bit. Like I said, I watched this show with two very intense League of Legends gamers, and they were pointing out, oh look, this is a symbol of Caitlyn due to one of her abilities in the game. And it added a little bit more. So if you want to even go even deeper, you can also look up some lore for League of Legends. It's like a 3-tier show. So like I said, the final episode left us on a major cliffhanger. And now the next season is set for November of 2024. So I just know that with the amount of hype that came with Arcane Season 1 before, during, and after the release of the show, Season 2 is going to have just as much, if not more, hype around it, and more information is going to be going out there. I suggest watch Season 1 at any point during the summer or in the fall, and then that way you can enjoy Season 2 with everyone else. You can be in the moment. That is very, very hard to come by, the same kind of interactions if you watch it, say, a year later. I had that with Game of Thrones. I watched it many years later, and I got to interact with my coworkers because they watched it and loved it, but I didn't get nearly the same interaction level that they got when they watched it live when it was airing new. So I really think that season 2 is going to be amazing. It's going to be great, and so many people are going to be loving it and talking about it. And I really think that if you just like TV with deep emotional stories and great characters, you are going to love it. There's nothing not to love about it. And so I truly recommend check out Arcane season 1 and watch season 2 with everyone else and get talking about it. I think this is going to be amazing. Me and my friends talked about Arcane for months after we kept finding more and more things to discuss. It is an amazing piece of just a conversation starter. And so if you have watched Arcane season 1, let me know down below what was your favorite part of it. If you haven't watched season 1 and this video convinced you, or maybe you're still on the fence about it, let me know. Let me know if you want any more information. But I truly am very, very excited for Arcane season 2, and I hope a lot of other people are too. So that is all for me today. If you want more gaming type of content, make sure to check out the rest of the channel. It is full of gaming stuff, and also soon to be some more gaming adjacent stuff like Arcane, stuff like The Last of Us. So make sure to subscribe if you like that kind of stuff, and interact and let me know what you want to see later. Bye guys.